This week on Extracts, Roman shits, home run hits, butts and pants that just don't quit.
It's the Gray Sweatpants episode.
Welcome to Extracts, a podcast where we introduce each other to our fandoms one episode at a time. I'm your host, Erin Cline, an X-Files enthusiastic apologist.
And I'm your other host, Stella Cheeks, a forever slut for Star Trek the original series. Each podcast, we pick 2 episodes that fit a cinematic theme, watch them together, and then record our feelings.
Our theme this week is Gray Sweatpants.
Sort of.
Sort of. This is the most off theme we've been since, season 2, to be honest.
Today, we watch season 2 episode Bread and Circuses, which is a weird, underrated episode where the Triumvirate are captured by Roman aliens who televise their gladiatorial bouts. But most importantly, it's the episode where they're all wearing gray sweatpants, except for not. I realized they're wearing gray sweatshirts. Sort of.
And gray business pants.
And gray business pants. They're in gray the whole time.
And this week on the X-Files, we are covering one of my favorite fever dream of an episodes, the one where there are aliens in the South on baseball teams because he just really fucking loves baseball. And the only person that can see them is the X-Files man. Okay, listen, it's super spooky. Also, Mulder kind of kidnaps a child from the past to shuck balls at him. Anyway, they're flirty and they're in love. Anyway, this episode's a fucking mess.
This episode's not a mess at all.
It is.
This episode is so narratively clean.
That's the thing. It's not a mess in the sense that the narrative isn't clean. There's just a shitload going on, and the past and present of it, there is a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
It's one of my favorite episodes. I'm not shitting on it. I like it a lot. All right, are you ready for digging in there, Mr. Spock?
Yes.
Captain, both amplitude and frequency modulation being used. I think I can pick up something visual. It's a news broadcast using a system I think they once called video.
Television was the colloquial term.
Put it on the screen.
Now for a quick-ish episode summary that I did not proofread. The Enterprise is on a routine patrol when it finds the wreckage of a missing Federation survey vessel, the SS Beagle. Kirk gets in a tizzy because he knows the captain of that ship, but thankfully Spock is going to Spock and he traces the path of the ship debris to a nearby previously unexplored planet. Once they arrive at the unknown planet, suspiciously similar to Earth, the crew monitors a 20th century-style television broadcast showing footage of what appears to be a Roman gladiatorial match. Because the production crew is cheap as hell, basically everything is the same as Earth, except this Earth is still doing gladiatorial matches with slaves. But unlike on our Earth, it's on TV. It's the end of season 2. They don't got a lot of money. The trio beam down to the planet to investigate, i.e. bicker, somewhere other than the ship when they are captured and brought before Septimus, the leader of a group of escaped slaves. He asks them if they are children of the sun, and when they are like, no? Maybe? What does that mean? Septimus explains that he was once a senator until he heard the words of the sun and was enslaved for his heresy. Septimus decides that they are chill, even though Flavius is like, no, and allow them to live, because men of peace and all of that. Kirk tells Septimus of the missing crew and the captain Merrick, which the slaves think is Mericus, aka the first citizen. Honestly, does nobody remember their Starfleet training? Flavius, a former gladiator, helps the trio infiltrate the city, but not well enough because they are captured toot sweet. And lo and behold, Mericus the Butcher is indeed Merrick, who is now besties with Marcus, the head Roman and big baddie. Those names are too similar. He tries to make his case to Kirk that when the Beagle suffered damage, he came to know the culture of this place and actually did rely on his training because he held so fast to the Prime Directive. Maybe too intensely. He told his crew to assimilate or be enslaved, so, he's super chill. Kirk is obviously disgusted and refuses to assimilate, but he does let Scotty know what's up with a little subterfuge. Scotty is ordered not to interfere, but Scotty has a plan. Pissed as hell, Marcus, one of them, I don't remember, sends Spock and McCoy into the televised arena, forcing them to fight against Flavius and another gladiator, of course named Achilles. Spock easily takes them both down with a nerve pinch, more like the Achilles neck muscle, am I right? While McCoy is there. The crowd is pissed, more bloodshed, but they are taken back to the slave pens where they learn that Kirk is being sentenced to a televised execution. But hey, it's a civilized society, so they give him one last night with a slave girl named Drusilla. That's it. That's her only thing. As the execution broadcast begins, Flavius is killed in a botched attempt to rescue Kirk, which gives Kirk the opportunity to escape. It's all chaos, but Scotty to the rescue because he causes a citywide power blackout, allowing Kirk to save his boys. Merrick has a last-minute change of heart and helps the trio escape before he's fatally stabbed by Marcus. Got those names right. No good deed, etc., etc. Back on the ship, Spock muses over the whole sun worship thing. Like, how would something so primitive be right about the Universal Brotherhood thing? But Uhura, who has been monitoring the planet's communications, her job, is like, no, not the sun in the sky, ding-dongs, the Son of God. Womp womp. The episode ends with Kirk astonished saying, Caesar and Christ. They had them both, and the word is just spreading now. Space eye roll. What did you think about this episode?
I liked it, I think. I enjoyed it. I had like a fun time watching it.
Yeah, it's fun, and you get the best Kirk.
Yeah, you get Kirk who's in love with this ship. You get Kirk who like cares deeply about all the people that are part of that ship.
You get Kirk smug as hell. Like,
so
bitch, you don't tell
smug.
me what to do.
So many times, so smug. I loved that there was this like, you're on the Prime Directive. You can't do XYZ. And it's like, you picked the wrong fucking ship. This is the wrong ship to say that to.
I don't think they break the Prime Directive.
Well, that's what I mean, though, is like, they didn't. You're right. I don't think that they did.
Yeah.
But I think it's, you've chosen the wrong ship because they treat the Prime Directive like guidelines sometimes,
Yeah,
and like
where they're
know and they know how to get around it, even if they're like, we are sticking 100. And they like recorded the thing with Scotty at the end, like, you didn't break the Prime Directive, everyone, just so we know about it. Like, that is also
We're
very
all
much
just very clever,
right? Exactly. It's very much like a nudge, nudge, wink, wink. We didn't break the directive or whatever. So I did like that. It felt very true to the rest of the series and the way that everyone interacts so well as both a unit and as also like part of a ship also,
yeah, I love Kirk in this episode because he's like it is just a great episode for anybody who's like, oh, Captain Kirk, blah, blah. I would show them this episode. Like, this is a great episode of how Captain Kirk is a fucking good captain and a good Starfleet officer. Like, he does his job. He's never intimidated. And the like Roman guy, Marcus, he's so used to like, I'm going to use these words that I don't believe in, but like they're funny to use in this context. But like, he's so used to that like beta bitch man, like Merrick, that when he comes across Kirk, who's like, not that. And he's like, yeah, tell all of your people to come down and die. And he's like, literally, no.
yeah.
He's like, well, we're going to kill these two. And he's like, but the math doesn't. Get fucked.
Yeah.
And he's so like calm and smug about it. I just love it. I love how he's like, he never, even though like they almost die several times, he never loses it and he never feels like he's out of control. And like that is what a starship captain should be. And then also too, that Merrick guy being like, well, I mean, a spaceship is a little different than starship. Like, I couldn't get starship captain. It's like, yeah, not everybody can be starship captain. Like, especially of the flagship. Like, Kirk is, whether you like him or not, he's extraordinary. Like, that's
the whole deal.
That's the whole deal.
Yeah, this is a great episode for that. You're right. This is a great showcase of him as like a thinker and a leader.
Yeah.
It's so good that he's so smug the whole time. I love how fucking smug he is. From beginning to end, it's just Smug City. I loved
just
it.
Smug City. And then there's really good Spock and McCoy stuff too. Like their banter when they all beam down. The fight scene where like Flavius is like, come on, fight. And Bones is like, I am fighting. I don't know what the fuck to do. But then, of course, the like jail scene between McCoy and Spock, where McCoy's like basically being like, thank you for saving my life. And Spock's like doing the Spock thing where he's like, I don't have any emotions. You don't have to thank me. And McCoy's like, I see you right the fuck through you.
Yeah, for real. That was intense.
And then there's that like nice moment where he's like, yeah, I'm worried about Jim too. I know we're all stressed about
it. It was really nice. I like that a lot.
For the Spone shippers, for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought those moments were good. I love when he like cornered him, like got right up in his face. Like, oh,
you're afraid that every moment you're alive, you're gonna feel something.
Your other half will peek out. He said something similar to that, and I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Boy's got his number.
That's absolutely right. I loved the jump scare when they were trying to get into the village. They were like, we'll stay here overnight. I've got some questions about...
There's a lot of gunfire in this one.
Yes,
and the sound mixing is very of the 60s. So, like...
Yes.
You do have to be warned for that. If you turn it up because you can't hear the dialogue, you will be, like, deafened by the gunshots.
Yeah, for real.
It is like an interesting commentary about television too, especially if you think about, even though this one was shot early on in season 2, this was the second to last episode aired, penultimate. And so all the commentary about like, oh, the ratings and this and that is very like meta or whatever.
And like, I love that they show the crew dialing up the cheering. Like, it's not real. They've created this.
It's gladiatory on TV. It's not in front of a live broadcast audience. It's not like bloodshed. It's like it's very controlled.
Yeah, it's wild. It's like, well, their civilization is just like this. And it's like, is it? Why? Why is it like this?
I do think it's wild that at no point was Kirk or Spock like, yeah, on our Earth, Rome got its ass kicked.
Yeah.
Because that America is like, yeah, no, they're just always been this strong. I really wanted one of them to be like, yeah, until the moment they're not.
Yeah, for real. Like, that.
It's literally like the classic example of the fall of an empire.
Yeah, man. Like, it wasn't the first empire to fall. It was the one that everybody talks about. Like, that, yeah. Nope, they never thought to mention it. They were like, that interferes with the Prime Directive if we let people know that they're part of this, like, apocalyptic unit of humans.
They never say when in Rome, which I think is a shame. Bobby thinks it's good that they don't say that. I think it's a shame. It seems like they should have said that.
I'm surprised they didn't say it. I will say that. Oh, God.
Also, like, this is the Gray Sweatpants episode. I misremembered when I made the themes because, like, the shirts that they are wearing are full gray sweatpant material. That is so like, and every picture you see from it, or like still, like I have memes of this in my phone and stuff. Like, you see the gray sweatpants, but they're a sweatpants shirt, but they are fully just in gray business pants.
Yeah, they're just like casual slacks.
The slave uniform is gray business pants and then like a muscle. Like
it's like the shirts that they wear in Greece in the field hockey scene where like there's just these weird gray sweatshirts that are like cut off.
Sleeves
very
cut off.
70s. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So it doesn't fit the theme really, but it's because I truly misremembered because, you know, you see who wears a gray sweatpant top without bottoms? Like to work out or like you would think that would be the slave uniform, right? Not slacks.
I said when we were watching it, I bet they looked like more like sweatpants on like a small screen too.
On a small TV. And you know, this was supposed to be like the jokey like Red Hot Pants episode where like, haha, look at everybody's dicks. But it's not that at all. So maybe they put them in gray sweatpants and they were like, oh, we can't do that. There's too much peen happening. So that could have been why they were like, I don't know, slacks.
I don't know.
That's the apocrypha I'm making up.
Okay. That's canon now.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
Because if you have the whole cast in gray sweatpants, it's going to be obvious.
I know. You got Leonard Nimoy in a t-shirt as it is. Like, that's... You can't push people too far.
Yeah. Can't push people too far. And they already had that real slutty, like, outfit for the
we haven't even talked about the, like... Why? Why was that necessary?
Because the writers, because Gene, like, Roddenberry's a hornball, so he's like, well, this one doesn't have a chick in it. This one's feeling a little gay. I guess we have to put in a lady. What else would a civilized society do? Oh, you get one last bone before we chop your head off. And especially because that Marcus has that whole speech about, like, I do respect you as a man, which is why I like, gave you this woman. And, you know, she is a slave, and I do appreciate that she... that could have felt a lot ickier than it did.
Yes.
And she was just like, oh, I can have sex with this guy instead of all of the gross dudes I have to have sex with all the time. Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, when I was doing my like notes, there was some quote from her being like, that outfit was scandalous and I liked it. So, and I mean, it was very, you know, this is pre-Star Wars, but it was very Princess Leia.
Yes, very much
gold.
so.
It's got a big chain on it.
It has those hip cuts. That
has
it's like,
hip cuts.
Whoa, okay.
Now I'm thinking George Lucas stole it.
George Lucas didn't not steal.
Yeah, he stole
much.
everything from Star Wars. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I just thought that was a fun quote of her being like, "Oh, it was risky. I liked it." Good for you. Good for you, girl.
She had the most normal hair of anyone I've ever seen on Star Trek. It was even the weird hippies.
The women in the background, and at this like escape slave camp too, they just have their hair down. They're just like, yeah.
I love it.
Just have her hair down.
They're like, we do
a
not
lot going
have
on in
time.
this
Yeah,
society.
exactly. We got way too much going on. We all have to learn hand-to-hand combat with swords. Like, we do not have time to be braiding intricately into our hair.
No way. And of course, there's like great Scotty and Uhura in this.
Yes, absolutely. I love it when Scotty is in the captain's chair. I just think it's so wonderful.
It's just so funny to be like, okay, so they said they're in trouble, but they said I couldn't do anything. How do I do something?
Yeah, it's just like, he said not to interfere with them. What does that mean exactly?
That's a classic Starfleet loophole. I also love as he's kind of like figuring it out and talking to Chekhov about it, you just literally see Uhura in the background, like almost like a Castiel head tilt, like, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Which is really great. I really do like this episode, kind of up into the Jesus Christ moment.
Yeah, man, it was like the Americana reveal. Like, really?
we
Did
were
we
like-
have to do this? Really?
Especially because, like, in many ways, like, Star Trek is, like, very, like, post-religion, all of
Yeah.
this stuff. And then every once in a while, I mean, it is the 60s, it is TV, whatever. I guess they thought they were being clever with their, like, little pun, son of God or whatever. Sun worshippers.
Right.
Whatever. That
Yeah,
is a thing that they do, that they choose to do.
Yeah, I think I also liked this episode. It was fun to watch, and I actually liked the gladiatorial stuff quite a lot. It was fun.
I mean, I like watching Spock fight. I also
Yeah.
like Spock fighting and being like, I could kill you. I don't want to do that. And him being like, rah. And he's like, oh, God.
he's just like casually like walking backwards a bunch of times.
Whereas McCoy is like, ah,
I'm fighting someone friendly to me and I'm still dying.
still losing.
Oh, I will say that the first jail scene where all three of them like attack the guards and try to escape and they get caught like immediately. I loved that because I love when we see everybody in Starfleet gets combat training. It's cool to see McCoy like confidently being able to
Hand
do
to hand, not sword and shield.
Well, no, that's what I mean is like the hand-to-hand combat. It is cool to see him be able to do that. It's not like he's completely useless. It's just like he's not trained in how to do sword-to-sword combat. Also, he's a doctor, damn it, and not a gladiator.
Yeah. Also, like, that's a good scene of them communicating without communicating. Like,
Yes.
Kirk being like, oh, well, he's hurt. And then McCoy being like, oh, God. And being like, I know what we're going to do. We're going to do a fake out. We're going to do some punches. We're going to do the whole thing.
Yep. I love it. I love seeing them all work together.
They know how to be a good ship.
It's true. That's why they're a starship.
I love
They're
them.
fancy and important.
They're very important. I also really do. I know we talked about the scene with McCoy and Spock in the jail cell, but I think, for it being an episodic television show where they didn't know that movies were coming, they didn't know that this entire history was coming. I feel like that scene is actually really important in the like breadth of the choices Spock makes post the show, pre the movies, and then Spock and McCoy's relationship in the movies, which is a lot. It's still antagonistic, but it's a lot more. Like, we read a lot of, like, heart and love into a lot of the TV ones, but sometimes they're just kind of mean. And in the TV show or in the movies, they're a lot more like, I yelled so-and-so, I love you. You know what I
They
mean?
seem more loving from what I've seen.
And this feels like an important precursor to all that, especially, like, the Katra stuff and all that shit. Like, it's the choices that Spock makes in the movies and who he chooses to make his choices with or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he puts his brain in McCoy for a reason, not Kirk. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just think it's an interesting, like, they didn't know what they were doing, but in the movies, they really, like, make nice callbacks, I think.
Well, I'm excited to see more movies.
Which ones have you seen? You've seen the one with the whales.
The one with the whales. And then I have seen First Contact. We watched it together. I could tell you about two
Oh,
things
but First
that
Contact's
happened.
not. No, we watched Generations
Okay, well then I've
for
also...
your podcast.
Yeah, no. We watched Generation. Oh, that's right. We
I'm
watched
talking
Generation.
about TOS ones. I don't give a shit about the TNG one.
Yeah, then I think that's it.
Because there's no TOS people in First Contact. I mean, First Contact's good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I barely
it is
remember
the
watching
only
it.
good TNG one.
Yeah, we watched it
to me.
together, and I remember basically nothing.
I like
That was a
Generations.
long time ago. That was like 14 years ago.
You haven't seen one?
I don't think so.
It's boring.
I think we've kept that away from Erin so far because it is boring and because it just feels like a really long episode of TOS that we've kind of already been through thematically.
I have watched it recently, and so I just assumed I watched it with you. But I think they were showing it in a movie theater, and I was like, I have to go, even though I hate this movie. There are 3 good moments in that movie, and the rest is nonsense. But I like the rest of them. Whatever, we'll get to the movies. Obviously, the title of this episode, Bread and Circuses, that's like a very common thing. Is from a Roman poet, Juvenal. I don't know, whatever. Juvenal. I swear to God. That's like the rapper.
No, it was your response to it.
Representing for the 99 and the 2000s. Back that ass up.
So what it means, if you don't know, is that you can keep the society distracted if you give them enough food to survive and if you give them like entertainment. And, bread and circuses. I didn't know this. He was also the person who coined the phrase, who watches the watchers.
Oh.
So he was really popping off.
Really? Damn.
The character of Claudius Marcus wears a Shakespeare coat of arms on his costume. I think that was just like a little dumb nod to people being like, Shakespeare, because everybody who's in Star Trek loves Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip over some of the writers and production drama because Bobby will get into that.
Cool.
Though I did see there was a producer who was on site who noted in an interview where he was like, yeah, the atmosphere was not good. I was talking to Gene Roddenberry and Shatner came around the corner. He saw Gene and turned around. I was like, I'm out of here. Fuck that guy. This is important to me. This episode marks the final appearance of Kirk's little green outfit.
Oh.
Rip his like little slutty shirt.
Yeah, I like that shirt.
Yeah, they go back to just the boring, like, gold and black. Not
That's
his, like,
it?
little kicky. I really thought that went into season 3, but I guess this is the last one. So the SS Beagle, that was the name of Darwin's ship.
Yes,
So
correct.
that was like, so when they're like, that's, the Federation ship. And then there's somewhere in the episode where they're like, 47 crew members. That's the same number of crew members Darwin had. So it's again them just like being like, we're clever. We're very clever. And you might think this is interesting just because you like this type of stuff, but the caves that they shot in where the children of the sun hide, it's one of the most used locations in television and movie history. It was in Batman, it's in a bunch of movies, Body Snatchers, Kung Fu. It's like just a place where they're like, we need a cave, we go to that cave.
That is
It's
super interesting.
located right below the Hollywood sign.
It's the entrance to the Batcave.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So like a lot of times when you see caves in movies, that's the cave.
That's funny. It does read as like a very good cave.
It's a good cave.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a cave classic. There's like a lot, not even apocrypha, just like fun facts that have to do with like references to Romans and references to. It's very self-referential. Whoever wrote it was like really into Roman bullshit, and it was just a lot. And I was like, this is not my Roman Empire. But if you're interested in that and you go on like Memory Alpha or Internet Movie Database, there's a bunch of that stuff where it's like, the Jupiter 8 is actually this and that and whatever. So go for it. I'm not going to do that. Do you have any other thoughts about this episode?
No, not really. Again, I liked it. I thought there was a lot of good character stuff in it. I got my personal favorite ship, which we'll talk about shortly after my section. But yeah, I did. I really enjoyed it. We got one of my other things that I like when they go undercover in other people's clothing. I like that a lot. So
and
that
gray
was awesome.
Sweatshirts.
Right, and business slacks.
And business slacks. Ridiculous.
Redonkulous. All right, are you ready for synopsis showdown?
Yeah, but mine is not very good.
I don't think mine is either.
Boy, you can really tell when they're running out of money.
The Prime Directive must never be violated except when it is. And also, it kind of wasn't.
And also, it kind of wasn't. Like, the person who violated it was Merrick.
Mm-hmm.
And then he told the, like,
Although
praetor.
you could really argue that he didn't die.
No, he told the praetor everything. The praetor
that's
knows,
true.
or
That's true.
whatever he called
You're right.
him. I'm just calling him praetor because I don't remember what his actual title was. But he knows everything.
Okay,
and because
you're right.
he's
You're
so
right.
used to dealing with Merrick, who is a little bitch boy, he thinks that all Starfleet officers are like that so that he can manipulate Kirk, and he's wrong. But he's like, he knows all about the Prime Directive.
Got it.
He knows about
Okay.
their phaser. So, like, Merrick violated it and then got, I don't know,
Assimilated.
gaslit into not violating it because that guy was very manipulative.
Got it. Okay.
But what Kirk and Spock and them all do, I don't think at any point actually counts, because the society was already, or at least the government was already tainted by the time they got there. Everybody on the planet basically looks like them except for Spock with the ears, but like,
whatever.
It's not like a Klingon is there or something.
Right.
Yeah, they follow by the rules of the society. Like, so I don't think the Enterprise, the Prime Directive is violated, but I think it was the Beagle that did it and not the Enterprise.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
That's
And again, they have that thing at the end where they're like, we're buttoning this up. This was not against the Prime Directive.
Yeah, because even if the society didn't know, all they knew that their lights went out for a second.
Right, exactly.
Spooky.
Ooh.
And like the society didn't know, but like the government was like, we know who did that.
Yeah.
They're flexing their power.
That's true. They do talk several times about like, it's a starship. You don't really understand. They could legitimately kill us.
Yeah. So, they'll break it when they need to, but some dumb already did it.
Why does Kirk know so many people who land on a planet and are like, you know what I'm going to do to this planet? Ruin it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I put in my summary, like, does anybody, like, remember the Prime Directive? Like, you land, the whole point of it, or the rules of Starfleet or any of your training, the whole point is if you get stranded or in a difficult situation, how do you react? And, like, they run into so many people who clearly are not fit for the job and react poorly. Like, oh, I'm going to become a Nazi leader. I'm going to just like let my ship members die because I'm bowing to the Roman Empire. Oh, you know what? Let's teach everybody about America. Like,
and honestly,
wild. And it's all white dudes.
Yeah.
So because it's all white dudes, I don't think that's bad writing, and I don't think those are plot holes.
For sure.
You give these spacemen these powers and all of this technology, and their solution if you crash is to go completely native and reject all of that. No, they're going to twist that power and they're going to use it to enslave people and hurt people.
Yeah. And like, again, you love him or hate him, like Kirk is like prince among men. Like he is actually really good at his job when it is rare. And even when you watch TNG and Deep Space Nine and other ones, you fall in love with these captains who are like these paragons of virtue and are really good at their jobs. And then some of it is like, bureaucracy. Oh, this admiral's really up my ass. But a lot of it is like they keep coming up against other admirals or captains who are morally weak. And like, what do you do when your whole organization is built on this idea of utopia and exploration and, peace, but then, and you as a watcher get so used to these like morally, what is the opposite of reprehensible? Morally wonderful people. And then you're met with these people where you're like, oh, human condition or like human nature, or like, et cetera, et cetera. Not everybody can be chill when faced with extreme challenge or extreme differences or things like that. And that's part of what makes Star Trek and like Starfleet and stuff so interesting. And it is, as much as they wouldn't say that they're a military organization, they are.
They are.
And I think that's a very good parallel to like modern military stuff. Like there are people who go through the training and are like good at it and like know how to stay calm and know how to de-escalate and know how to like actually do their job. And then there are more people who freak out under like, because like no training is ever going to be the same as being in a war. Like, no training is ever going to be the same as like going somewhere where you don't know anything. And unfortunately, there are a lot of morally weak people out there.
Man. Yikes.
Anyways, Starfleet.
Anyway.
Hope for the future, maybe. Hopefully we don't have to live through a World War III to get to Starfleet.
I'm ready for the fucking Bell riots, though. Anyways, we can move on.
Dude.
Are you ready for, I don't know which one to do. I guess Scully, it's me, because he calls her to come to the baseball field.
Yeah, all right. That sounds right.
Mulder, it is such a gorgeous day outside. Have you ever entertained the idea of trying to find life on this planet?
I have seen the life on this planet, Scully, and that is exactly why I'm looking elsewhere.
All right, here we go. I kind of did some bullet points for this one because, again, there's kind of a lot going on. All right, here we go. In addition to being an episode about aliens, this is also an episode about racism and segregation. So let's just get that out of the way right up on top. So honestly, there is kind of a lot going on in this episode, so I'm going to give you all the bullet points. In 1947, the Klan shows up to murder Josh Exley, an incredible Negro Rig player who could be the next Jackie Robinson. The leader of the Ku Klux Klan is revealed to be an alien. Flash forward, in 1998, I think, Mulder and Scully are basement flirting about baseball when Mulder sees his old pal, Arthur Dales, and sets off to figure out about this whole, baseball alien mystery. Arthur is drunk, but he is, ready to talk, sort of. He has to be, coaxed into it, but then he's like, let me get drunk and talk to you about baseball. Dales was a young cop assigned to guard Exley, and he is, super fucking ready. He is guarding even the slightest risk. He is getting green blood all over the thing for his trouble. He is fucking ready. Exley, in all of this, bombs a game on purpose so the Yankee scouts don't try to recruit him. Why? What's the mystery? It's that he's an alien. Exley gives this really beautiful speech about wanting to be human because he wants to experience laughter and smiling, which is a really wonderful way to look at the human condition. And then, of course, there's mandatory Jesse L. Martin singing. The bounty hunter kills a lab tech dead, dressed as Exley, and Dales tells X he has to scram, and then he is promptly murdered by the bounty hunter. But wait! He bleeds red like a human now. There's an extremely sad Dales remembering X scene. And then there's baseball flirting with, again, a kidnapped child that there is no explanation whatsoever for. The end. What did you think about this episode?
I think it's great.
Right? I love this episode.
So you keep bringing up this kid, and the thing for me is, unlike Italy in the middle of that scene, which is always going to bother me, that... it's the X-Files. You can have a woo-woo spooky whatever, and that kid tying the flashbacks together, I thought was actually pretty clever. And so I don't know. I could see why that would bother people, but it doesn't bother me at all.
I like the kid. I think it's cool. And we were saying while we were watching it, it feels very Stephen King to have him step into the past memories in that one scene.
Well, yeah, and there's no proof that kid is the same, right? He could just look
could be
the
his
same,
grandpa or
could be his
fucking
grandpa,
whatever.
And Mulder doesn't know. Even if the kid is the same kid, Mulder doesn't know. It's just the kid that works at the baseball field or whatever.
Shucks balls and
yeah,
runs liquor for an old man.
See, I mean, it's a fine line, and maybe I'm picky, but that to me at least makes sense. Not sense. That at least narratively is an interesting choice that does work because it is grounded in the actual story they're telling.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
So I'm fine with the kid.
I'll accept it. The kid is fine. The kid is fine.
I accept the kid.
Yeah. This episode, would you be surprised to learn that it was written and directed by David Duchovny?
50-50.
Really?
Yeah. One... It's very good. So part of me wants to be like, this guy. But he is good at writing. I've read several of his books at this point. He's good at writing. And yeah, it does feel very him. I don't know. It's very, he can tie a beginning to an end.
Mm-hmm. He said that he worked.
Does David Duchovny love baseball?
Yes.
Okay.
That and basketball. Those are
I knew the basketball thing, which I get because basketball rules.
I prefer baseball to basketball 100% of the time. Anyway, David Duchovny wrote this episode. Cast and group both said that they had a really nice time with him directing it, and because he's not in very much of it.
He directed it too.
Yes, it was it was his first time directing an X-Files episode.
Chris Carter should have just let him write and direct more because he's better at it than him.
Yes, it's true. But basically, David Duchovny said, I didn't think I was ready until season 6 to do something like this.
That's fair.
And so then he went to Chris Carter and was like, it's time. This is an idea that I had, and we're going to do this. Because he was watching oh my God, it was the year that Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa were doing we're going to hit more home runs than the other.
And both of them were cheating?
Yeah. Were they all cheating? I'm pretty sure they were all
cheating. I know Mark McGuire was for sure cheating.
Oh, all three of them, Barry Bonds as well. They were all juiced up.
Yes, that's what
cheating.
I thought. Okay.
And one of them had a fucked up baseball bat or something, right? Steel bat.
Sammy Sosa had a corked bat at some point, I think.
Yeah.
I live for drama in sports.
Oh my God. That's why you don't like baseball? Oh my God. There's so much drama.
I'm sorry, I watched the WNBA. The drama is there because they're all dating. They're all dating. A lot of them are dating. And with the soccer girlies, come on. Gay sports are better than straight sports.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. People enjoyed working with him, and because he was in very little of the actual episode, it was easy for him to get into the like production part of it too, and be like, how can I work with this? And like, there are a lot of really good choices in this. I think there are that long shot of Arthur Dales at the end remembering X is like excruciatingly long, but I think it works really well.
I think it's the right amount.
I like it. I like the music that they use. I think that they make a very effective use of lighting in this episode. Also, everything in the bus feels real. It doesn't feel like they're on like a sound stage, really. It feels like they're in a bus. Like, I think they do an excellent job with that.
And also, like, what an interesting way to have an episode that's about race without it being an episode that's about race.
Absolutely.
Like, it is, but it isn't. It's still very much an X-Files episode in what I mean by that is because it is a episode about an alien, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a very interesting choice to have an alien that really loves to play baseball but can't get famous, and so he's like, well, I'll play as a black person, and like that is a very interesting cultural choice. And like, even the Klan member, like the Klan member doesn't give a shit about being in the Klan. He just needed a cover to do his job as a bounty hunter, which is interesting. Also to have like, I want to lean into propaganda or whatever, but like, it is nice to see like a white character and a whole entire white baseball team be like.
That moment is excellent. It's not even his team walks up first, which you would like kind of expect was going to happen.
Yeah, the
it
white
was
baseball
like,
team is like
here. You're not getting past us. Like I
and then
really
Moose
enjoy that
learns how to pitch.
So
yeah,
good.
Moose.
I love too that they all have their hoods on,
Leave
so
the
they like
cactus
can't.
alone, Moose.
They like can't see each other getting hit with the baseballs because of the big things on their heads, and so he hits like 3 of them with baseballs.
And the coach is like, "Yes, Moose.
Yes."
Yeah, I mean, and I don't mean that in like, because I'm a white lady being like, oh, it's so nice to see like a white person do the right thing. But it is just an interesting juxtaposition too, to be like, the most important thing to these people, including the alien, was baseball. It didn't matter if you were black or white. Like, they all loved this thing. And there's that line that old Arthur says, like, do you think love can change a man? It's like, no, not love of a lady, like love of a thing. And like the love of baseball like prevented these men from having bigotry, basically, because they were like, I just want to play baseball with these people who are really good at playing baseball.
Yep, exactly. I totally agree. It's funny too, because when you say that, it reminds me like these are both episodes where there is something about falling or developing love for something that's not a woman, that is like a concept. And so it's an interesting way to tie these two together. And like in this one is falling in love with baseball. It is an interesting question too, because it's like, are you actually transformed? Do you shapeshift into a person who looks sort of the same as you, but is fundamentally different? Like, it's a really interesting question.
Yeah, and I could see some people being annoyed by the end of him, like, bleeding, like, human blood or whatever. But I think the whole, like, no, this is my real face. And, like, you know. And then also, like, him bleeding red blood at the end and not acid blood is a good reminder to the audience of like, hey, but black people aren't aliens, actually. Like, and this is like a real thing, and racism is bad. Hey, we got you with the metaphor.
Yeah. A lot
of that science fiction thing.
For real. A lot of the reviews about this say that exact thing of like, you're not shoving this theme down their throat. It's an interesting way to step back and look at it and say like, oh, it is an interesting cultural choice to be like, in order to not get famous, I have to endure this, but it's worth it because I'm so deeply in love with this game. Like,
also really visually interesting on television, especially I think probably in the 90s, but even today to have an episode, very common to see an episode or a TV or movie where it's a bunch of white people and one black guy. Very rare, I feel like, to see a bunch of black people, one white guy.
Yep.
And I think that is a good flip of the like traditional narrative or whatever.
Yep.
Also, I love the trope of our alien species or our demon species or like whatever, like we don't have joy or like dancing or like music. And then I saw humanity and I was like, fuck. I want to play baseball. Or like in Angel, that demon that's like, I want to sing. You know, I think that's an interesting trope. And again, humanity's not perfect, et cetera, et cetera. Don't want to get into the like exceptionalism, but like it is an interesting thing to be like, how would societies be different? And like if you've never heard laughter before, what the fuck is laughter? If you've never seen something like, if you don't have games on your planet and you see somebody getting pure joy from just playing, like imagine not knowing what playing is.
Well, I think too, like there are people who would want that. Like imagine we met a species that could like see and hear color, and like I want to experience that. Like, oh, I've never experienced anything like that as a human. I don't know how I would even experience that as a human, and then to be given that opportunity, like I might take it. I might do that.
Well, and that's like I think it's just a powerful trope too of like the things that make us different are the things that make us like draw us together, right?
Yes.
Especially with like this one being like that, you know, metaphor for race, or like in the angel thing, that's like that character is clearly gay, so like having it be like a metaphor for like, you know, homophobia and things like that. I think it's just it's just a good trope of like, me as an alien species, I don't know what that thing is. I need that thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And improved, obviously, by this episode is the presence of Jesse L. Martin,
He's great.
So he was the first person Duchovny wanted to cast. He saw him in Rent, and then he saw him in Ally McBeal, and was like, "This is my guy." And like,
he's fantastic. He's good in everything he's ever done.
Absolutely, and like I think he does a very good job too of distinguishing between his actual character in this and the bounty hunter, who he plays for like a brief moment. It was nice to see him be able to like switch within his acting in that. And then, of course, obviously there was the mandatory singing, and like he just has such a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
It's so funny to me that so many people know him from Law and Order, the show that he sang very briefly on with Jerry Orwell, and like never again.
Well, and they're both huge famous Broadway stars, which is so funny.
Yeah, exactly. And they're in this just like cop drama.
And they both originated those roles, right? Like Jerry, he originated the role in Chicago, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Orbach? I'll look it up.
Yeah,
But I think you're right, yeah.
the lawyer. I'm only saying this because I'm thinking of it from the movie, but like the Richard Gere character. I think he originated that. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Anyway.
I'm pretty sure I'm right. I know stuff.
I know stuff. It's true. Let's see. This is about Arthur Dale's. This is casting stuff.
Have I seen an episode with Arthur Dale before?
I will detangle the Arthur Dale stuff. You have not, so it does not make sense to you.
Okay. I just have seen that. No, and then, like, that's why I was like, blah, blah, blah. But like I've seen that actor in so much that I was like, okay, this actor is familiar to me. Is it an X-Files thing? And I was like, I don't think it is an X-Files thing.
Oh, man, I really thought we had done one. We didn't do Aguamala. We really should have. We should do that as an extra one. You'd like that episode. It's nuts. When he says he moves down to Florida, that makes sense. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you would like the other one, too. He's great. He couldn't... Bobby will get into it. That's
Okie dokie doke.
Let's see. Okay. Vin Scully did the baseball, the modern day one that Mulder was watching. Vin Scully from Your Face. He is a very famous baseball announcer. But they originally he like wanted to do it, but they like couldn't afford him. And so he was like, I'll do it for free. And so he did.
Hey, I mean, it's season 6 at this point. People like the X-Files.
Absolutely. And like, why not do it? It's such an easy thing to do. This is the point too where Cher turned down that episode and she's like, this is my biggest regret in acting because it was so popular.
I think she should be really proud of that decision. That episode is bad.
I know. Whatever. You'll watch it again in a full rewatch.
I still won't like it.
I don't think that you'll like it. I think that I think that you'll appreciate the Mulder and Scully within it a lot more.
I might appreciate the Mulder and Scully in it. I will not like the episode. I just want to.
No, you're not ever going to like this episode. Even if you liked this episode, you'd be like, no, I don't like this episode.
Yeah. It's just...
It's
not
okay.
for me.
Yes, I thought that was very interesting. Also, David Duchovny's brother is in this. He's one of the minor bench jockey baseball players. Oh, David Duchovny expressed gratitude the Unnatural enabled him to get a feel for directing. He also experienced severe anxiety during the production process because of the stress that helming an episode produced. No idea who that could possibly remind me of. Certainly not anybody in this room. Anyway.
Oh, producing stuff?
Yes. The severe anxiety that comes
Hell
with
is other people, actually. The actual producing of the thing is fine. It's the other people.
Well, yes, that's the stress of it being produced.
Other people.
It's true. Yep. Anyway, can't remind me of anybody. Let's see. Oh, also David Duchovny said later that the stress was largely uncalled for because he could have shown up 24 hours a day drooling and they still would have made the episode.
Yeah, I mean, all of the camera people know what they're doing. All of the post-production people know what they're doing at that point. Like, There's a reason why a lot of first-time directors do episodes of television.
Yep, absolutely.
Because it's like you have a built-in safety net.
Absolutely. And Gillian Anderson talked about working with him, and she said he was kind, gentle, respectful, and humble. Just like a wild list of adjectives for David Duchovny, but like he seems like a lovely man, I suppose.
I think in that context that makes sense. Like he seems to take his like craft and shit seriously, even if he's like a mess as like a regular human being.
Yeah, for real.
Plenty of people are like that. They're like good at their jobs and like things like that, but then in their personal lives are like not good.
Yeah, familiar. Anyway, that's it. All right, Synopsis Showdown. That's what we do next, right?
Sure.
Okay. Baseball can't solve racism, turns out.
The only thing that aliens love more than fucking with Mulder is baseball.
Yep, that's exactly right. You're right.
Are you ready for Deep Throat's mission logs?
Yes, let's go.
I'm afraid you have it all wrong, Mr. Spock, all of you.
Starting with Bread and Circuses, first aired March 15th, 1968. Written, except not actually, by Gene Roddenberry and Gene L. Kuhn. So Roddenberry and Kuhn are credited as writing this. However, they stole most of it from a playwright and television writer named John Newble. This is not the first time we've talked about them pulling shenanigans like that in this podcast. It was known that they tend to slap their name on things. A bit of the dissension that Stell kind of alluded to earlier. This is Gene L. Kuhn's last episode working on Star Trek. Yes, he was fighting throat cancer at the time, which would ultimately take his life in 1973, but he was also fighting with Gene Roddenberry.
The gene of it all.
The gene of it all.
Worse than cancer.
Specifically on this episode, it was arguments over the tone of it. Involved in this is Gene L. Kuhn passing the torch, as it were, over to John Meredith Lucas, who we've talked about. And that quote Stell said earlier is from John Meredith Lucas.
Who is like Shatner left.
He got a really good taste of the tone of where everyone was in that show really, really quickly. This is to say that at the time they were under extreme budget cuts and a network that was trying to cancel their very popular show.
And did ultimately cancel them. Like, again, this is pre the writing campaign and stuff. So they are like, everyone's feeling it. So
the tension on the set was for atmospheric reasons as well, on top of ego reasons and character reasons. But yes, that was John Meredith Lucas who saw that interaction between Shatner and Roddenberry. And then this is directed by Ralph Sininsky, who we've talked about at length on this podcast as well. Big ups to Juvenal. Juvenal, yeah. Moving on to some casting stuff. That's Louise Jewell as Drusilla, the slave girl in the dress.
Yes,
her name was Drusilla.
Cool.
Her only other cred was an episode of The Flying Nun. Nailed it.
Cool.
Nailed it. Moving up to just some highlights here, we see Jack Perkins as the master of games, the announcer, not the television announcer, but the Roman announcer for this. Funny thing about him, he's credited on an episode of The Munsters as Second Drunk. He's credited on an episode of The Apple Dumpling. He's credited in the movie The Apple Dumpling Gang Rides Again as The Drunk. Credited in the movie The Happy Hooker Goes to Hollywood as Drunk Conventioner. And his last credit is in 1983's Automan, where he plays drunk.
He has a niche. He has a specialty that he does. He gets paid to do that niche.
And as our TV announcer, that is once again Bart LaRue. We have a string of his. So on screen, Bart gets to play a Nazi TV newscaster and a Roman fake gladiator television producer as well. Bart gave so much to Star Trek, and those are his on-screen roles. Hilarious. As Flavius and fantastic in this is Rhodes Reason. Great Hollywood name. Also Commander Carl Nelson in King Kong Escapes and John Hunter in 39 episodes of White Hunter. Let's not talk about it. But also played Daddy Warbucks in Annie on Broadway for 3 years in the 80s.
Oh, Yeah, I can see that.
That is William Bramley as our shitty head policeman. He's also Officer Krupke in the 61 West Side Story movie.
What?
Plays a bunch of cops and cowboys on top of that. He tends to work in things Ralph Sinensky directs, so great friends to have.
Yeah.
That's Ian Wolfe as Septimus, who we've discussed previously as playing Mr. Ataz in All Our Yesterdays. He was like the old library keeper who had a bunch of clones. Oh, here's a fun one. That's Logan Ramsey as Claudius, the piece of shit guy. He's known for playing absolute sleazeballs in his career. Most known for playing John Witter in both parts of the original Walking Tall and J. Edgar Hoover in a 4-part TV miniseries Blind Ambition. He's married to Anne Ramsey, who plays Mama Fratelli in The Goonies and like the old annoying lady in Throw Mama from the Train. So they both play notable like sleazeball characters. I just love envisioning this marriage of two like Hollywood people who play dirtbag characters, and they're just like they're normal, reasonable people outside of that.
A nice little cottage.
Absolutely. And that brings us to William Smithers as Merrick. 50 episodes of Dallas as Jeremy Wendell. Warden Barrett in Papillon, David Schuster on over 50 episodes of Peyton Place. Began his career in Broadway in 1951 as Tybalt in a production of Romeo and Juliet, which he won a theater award for. And then he's been a member of the Actors Studio since 52 and taught seminars and also co-authored a array of instructional videotapes called The Method. So like acting videotapes, which were circulated at the time.
The Method. I just read a really great quote from an actress. I think it was Kirsten Dunst, and somebody asked her what she thinks about method acting, and she said, "It seems like a thing only white guys can do."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There have been, I forget.
And I was like, and then she also had a good quote about open concept houses, and she was like, "I need a door," and I was like, I love Kirsten Dunst.
She rules. The older she gets, the more I'm like, you know what?
Because she's fucking been through it.
She has.
I was like, you know, as somebody who lives in an open concept on one floor, I would also like a door.
I forget who, but the most famous quote that I like about method acting is, "Yeah, I just like acting."
That's Brian Cox.
That's Brian Cox. That's right.
It's Brian Cox being like, "I just act."
I just act.
Yes, that's right. I remember that.
Because it's one of the guys on Severance is a method actor, and so they were like, "Brian Cox, what do you think about this?" And he was like, "I just act."
The words are on the page. I stand where they tell me to stand.
Yeah, I do my job, and I don't make it everybody else's problem, basically.
So good. So good. Moving on to The Unnatural. Original air date, April 25th, 1999. Of course, written and directed by David Duchovny, as we've talked about. Notable taglines for this. The tagline for this episode is, "In the beginning."
Mm-hmm.
Beginning. Big inning.
I got it.
Okay.
Ooh, I got it.
No, that was the bit. That was fine. That was totally on tone for the bit that I wanted. It was fucking perfect. Okay, let's untangle this Arthur Dales thing. So Arthur, since we watch all of these out of order, Arthur Dales is an old FBI spook character that Mulder seeks out a couple of times. Episodes are Travelers and Aguamala.
I love Aguamala. He founded the X-Files. That's an important
Yeah, well, he
thing.
says that in the episode
Yeah.
that he founded the X-Files.
So that old Arthur Dales is played by Darren McGavin, a different actor who we see than the actor in this episode. However, young Arthur Dales is played by the same actor in all of X-Files. The reason this happened, and it is deeply confusing, but the reason this happened is that Darren McGavin, the original Arthur Dales, was able to film 2 scenes in this before falling deathly ill.
He had a stroke.
So Duchovny threw in a different actor and gave himself this loop of, oh, his brother's also named Arthur Dales, and their sister, and their pet turtle, and they're just all Arthur Daleses.
Yeah.
We got to make the TV. This is how we turn this around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it adds to like the absurd element of the X-Files, and like this isn't a comedy episode, but those moments with him and Mulder have comedic elements, especially if you like listen to music and stuff. So it is also like we're all Arthur MacGyver.
I love that he called him MacGyver.
So the title of this episode, of course, is a callback to the novel and film called The Natural, another baseball movie. So it is good. And also the book written by American writer Bernard Malamud as well. The song that we hear near the end of the episode is Come and Go With Me to the Land, originally by Bernice Johnson Regan. And then, of course, in the background, you see it. The name of Exley's team is the Roswell Greys. This is a reference to both the Homestead Greys, which was a legendary Negro team, and the aliens, the Greys. My headcanon is that's the crux of Duchovny writing this episode.
Yes, I think it is actually that was part of it, because that's exactly who he is. Yeah,
Wait,
when he was
Greys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he was looking up. I had the guy's name. Joe Bauman, I believe was his name, it was the same deal. He was a guy who played in only lower leagues, but he hit like 60, 61 homers. And so he was watching the competition between McGuire and Sosa and then started reading about him and was like, it would be interesting to juxtapose these together because of the Roswell Greys, et cetera, et cetera. So that's exactly what happened.
Great. Fantastic. Moving on to some casting stuff for this. That's Carrick McDonald as Moose. And he doesn't have a lot of acting roles, but he does a lot of second unit and assistant director work recently in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So he's an actual professional in all of that too, not just on the side. We see briefly Julie Griffith as named here Beautiful Woman, but the woman that Exley briefly changes into to get his point across. She has one other credit, and it's as a character named Trish, but it's in the 90s series Aliens in the Family. So it's both aliens. It's funny.
She's like, this is the only work I want.
Erin mentioned earlier that's David Duchovny's brother, Daniel Duchovny, as Piney. We've actually seen him previously. He played a director in Hollywood AD.
Oh, yeah,
so we talked about his commercial work and his work in music videos then as well. We see as the umpire here, Al Kaplan. He has 9 credits on IMDb, and nearly all of them are some sort of sports official, including being the tournament official in Dodgeball.
Hell yeah. I should really rewatch that movie. A bit more of it holds up than I'm expecting.
It's a Ben Stiller comedy, so some of it's not going to hold up, but the stuff that doesn't hold up is supposed to be shitty because it's that kind of humor.
Yeah.
In the alien costume here is someone named Walter Phelan, Phelan. He often worked in special effects and makeups departments, including with the legendary Todd Masters Company, who did a bunch of baller horror movies in the 90s, and then also gets in special effects makeup for creepy roles in From Dusk Till Dawn, Goosebumps, Master of Horror, House of a Thousand Corpses, Charmed, a bunch of stuff.
Charmed.
We briefly see Paul Wilson as Ted, who our generation mostly knows as one of the overseer interviewer guys in Office Space, and also a member of the long-running improv troupe Off the Wall, and has done a life's work of comedy from Mork and Mindy to Leonard Smith on The Gary Shandling Show, 55 episodes of Cheers as Paul, Frasier, Entourage, and also a Voyager episode, Season 7, Episode 15, The Void as Loquar. As our Arthur Dales in this episode, that is M. Emmett Walsh, who's a legendary character actor, Grump.
He's really good.
In everything, he's really good, and he plays
really
that character.
Good in this episode.
Going all the way back to Blade Runner as Bryant, the private detective in Blood Simple, and Harv in Critters, so much more. Also the voice of the Cosmic Owl on Adventure Time. Started in '68 and worked up until his passing just last year. In 2024. Yeah. As the black coach of Exley's team, that's Lou Beatty Jr., most recently Earl in Novocaine, and on A Million Little Things as Walter, Matlock Fight Club, West Wing, 6 episodes of Boston Legal as a judge as well. As our time-displaced Swiftian orphan poor boy, the actual name of the character poor boy, that's Jesse James. The actual name of the actor is Jesse James.
Jesus Christ.
There's an actor named James Kirk.
Yeah. Career started with a well-respected performance in As Good as It Gets at the age of 5, and then also credits in Gods and Monsters, Butterfly Effect, 05's Amityville Horror Remake, 2001's Pearl Harbor, still out there working now. That's Brian Thompson as the alien bounty hunter, who we've discussed previously as this character. I think we've watched Colony and Endgame, which is where we've talked about. And for having to say the N-word a few times in the beginning of this episode, very, very abruptly, he's a beefy guy from the 90s who didn't turn out to be a complete piece of shit.
Hey.
For real, thank God.
He's actually a really nice guy.
Oh, thank God. Yeah, it is effective and shocking when they use that word several times in a row.
I think it is him as the alien bounty hunter overcompensating to try to be a KKK guy.
Maybe. I don't know, man. That was wild.
And then that's Frederick Lean as our young officer Arthur Dales. As Stell mentioned right away, he's usually a villain. He's Azazel
usually a
in
bad guy.
Supernatural, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Also the Wolf in Zero Dark 30, Hallett in Greatest Showman, Marshall Mars on Lost, Eddie Croman on 19 episodes of Dallas, Walt Cunningham on From Earth to the Moon, also Firefly as well. Theater bred at the age of 21. He debuted on Broadway in Ibsen.
What's his name?
Frederick Lean, L-E-H-N-E.
Yeah, he is
Is he
Azazel.
in the
Yeah.
Magic House one that we watched?
What's that?
He's in a lot of the ones in season 1.
Yeah.
Because he dies at the end of season
I feel like
2.
we watched one when we watched those few in a row that had him in it.
Probably.
I remember
He's like the
seeing
big
someone and being
bad
like,
for
who
a
the
while.
fuck is this?
He's the big bad for a while.
He's another one of those character actors who,
lines.
yes, kind of plays like evil characters, but does it in a very grounded way, and
Yeah.
takes a lot of grounded
He's
characters.
fantastic
I like
great.
him.
in Supernatural.
He's so great. And then speaking of fantastic, yes, that's Jesse L. Martin as Josh Eggleston. Of course, the original Broadway cast of Rent in the role of Tom Collins. Funny there, I always like this story. He was already on Broadway in Timon of Athens and a government inspector in The Government Inspector, but he was at that time employed at the Moondance Diner where he met Jonathan Larson, the guy who wrote Rent, who was also working at the diner. So it was
like, you got a pretty voice.
two struggling Broadway guys working at this diner made one of the hugest
That's
musicals ever, and he was cast right away because they had worked together. Work together. And then, of course, as Erin said, 198 episodes of Law and Order as Detective Green, 176 episodes of The Flash as Joe West,
Yeah, he's good at Joe.
and most recently 29 episodes of The Irrational in the starring role as Alec Mercer. He's been acting since like the 4th grade and started in early commercials and soap operas. He's amazing in this. And then we brought up Jeremy Orbach earlier.
Yeah, he was the original Billy Flynn. I looked it up.
He was the original Billy Flynn. And Jesse L. Martin was the one who walked Orbach's widow down during his funeral procession.
That
So
makes
like they
sense.
were really, really good friends.
Yeah. Oh,
Sad note.
Jerry Orbach.
I think it's a good note. I mean, people die,
Sad
right?
good note. People do die.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's a good
That's it.
point.
I'll go in that one. Hey, people die. Thanks.
All right, well.
You never hit a baseball, have you, Scully?
No, I guess I have found more necessary things to do with my time than slap a piece of horsehide with a stick.
Okay, so overall thoughts. How do these episodes tie to the theme?
Well,
How does your episode tie to the theme? Mine, I just mistook the shirt and assumed it came with a matching pair of pants.
I, for some reason, thought
Yours,
that...
you were like, the uniforms say gray on them.
For some reason, I thought that they were wearing gray sweatpants. I don't remember why. And not in the game. I thought that the like Cactus League one, they were wearing gray sweatpants. I was wrong, but they are the grays, and they had those jerseys on. I don't know. We both really fucked this theme
Fuck
up.
this theme up.
I don't know what else we would have called it.
Sports.
Sports.
Yeah.
You're right. You are
Sports
absolutely
is
right.
Blood
actually
sports.
Sports would have worked. Yeah.
That's the actual theme.
The actual theme is sports. You're right.
How well do these episodes tie together? Sports.
Sports. We got a second extra theme out of it. They tie together so well. Sports.
Superfan questionnaire. As a superfan, would this episode be on your must-watch list?
I don't know. Maybe. I agree with you, though, about like if you wanted to show someone about Kirk, I think that this would be a really good episode for that. So, yeah, in that sense, like I think that this is an episode that could end up on any kind of must-watch list of a bunch of different kinds.
Yeah, a bunch of reviewers like Wired and others, I don't know, notably are like, this is an underrated episode.
Yeah, I could see how it would be. Because I said, too, like, I noticed that there was stuff that was reused and it's felt kind of similar in some ways. But as the episode went on and grew, it really turned into its own individual episode, which was really nice.
They're very different, but it does remind me of that episode, All Our Yesterdays, where you're like, this is a weird episode. And then it just happens to have, like, really good character moments, especially between, like, Spock and McCoy, which you don't actually get a ton of those, which is nice.
Yeah, I agree. Would this be on your must-watch list?
Yeah, actually, probably. I
Yeah.
really like this episode a lot.
Right? Totally. I absolutely agree. I would maybe put this in my, I don't know about top 10, but like, I don't know, top 20 maybe?
It's
There's
excellent.
300 episodes. It's kind of hard to narrow it down that much. But yeah, I love this episode. I think this is a very underrated episode as well.
Yeah, people who don't like this episode are dumb.
Yeah. Fair enough. I would agree with that. Is there a series-defining moment for you?
I don't know. The whole like banter between old Arthur and Mulder is very. It's knowing Duchovny wrote it now too. It's like that's very him. But that whole thing, I feel, I don't know. That's not a moment. That's like.
It's a vibe. It's a feel of the show.
It's a vibe.
Yeah, it's the vibe of the show. That makes sense. I see what you're saying.
Is there a series-defining moment for you?
I mean, I feel like it's Kirk with the ship. That's like the whole deal, right? And it's the crew working together as a well-oiled unit with nonverbal contact. Like, yeah, that is something that defines this series.
Does this affirm your OTP?
It does. I was shocked. I wasn't expecting an episode that was just like all about my OTP. When they were like, it's easy when you see a crew go to death. And he was like, I'll see you in fucking hell before I see that happen.
Yeah.
So it 100% did. Did this affirm your OTP?
I don't really have an OTP in the X-Files, so it's like sort of hard. But it does affirm Mulder Scully flirting stuff.
Mm-hmm. They have that. We didn't even talk about it. They have that great scene at the beginning where and that's
all very
feels
bantery.
Like she's drunk. She's so like
she just wants to go outside, man.
Right? Just standing under the light, like I just want to go out there. Like just do it, honey. You can just do it.
Just leave.
You just walk up and leave.
Is this episode a fuck, fine, or a flop?
I think this one's a fuck. I really enjoyed this one.
Because you love Jesus.
That's because I was raised Catholic. I can't escape it. I can't get excommunicated. Much as I try.
This episode is very much a fuck, obviously.
100%. I absolutely agree with you.
Woo.
All right. You can find us on the internet. Follow us at NYD Productions on Instagram and interact with the show using the hashtag XTrexPod. You can find me at NYD Urgency on Instagram.
You can find me on Blue Sky, Tumblr, and Instagram at Stella Cheeks.
You can find me on Blue Sky at Castle Uncle Vanya. There's been a lot happening in the news, so actually Blue Sky's been a bit of fun.
Dude, it rules. It feels like early Twitter. It's the best.
And if you want more free content as to where you can find us, you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter at nwadeproductions.beehive.com. That's nwadeproductions.beehiv.com for updates on things like what we've been listening to, playing, reading, screaming at the sky, putting into boxes, taking out of boxes, and evolving into.
Just evolving into a box.
You can also email us at xtrexpod@gmail.com with questions, comments, or thoughts about this season or the whole series, since this is our technical last season. Also, if you want fic links, the boys captured by aliens who make them fight or fuck for their pleasure, I got those links.
And if you want more special behind-the-scenes content like our script notes, outtakes, extra podcasts like unofficial channels, and access to our Discord, which is free and you just need to message us about, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/NYDProductions, where you can get access to all of that and more for only $1.
And don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and to tell your friends. We find this nerdy shit is better when it's shared.
We'll see you next episode for Trial of Approval. In the meantime,
believe boldly.
Seek truth.
Ship proudly.
X-Trex is created and written by Stella Cheeks, Erin Cline, and Bobby Hoffman, and produced by Bobby Hoffman for NYD Productions. Our show theme is Alien Spy by Ionix, and our show art was made by Jonathan Curtis.